Am I the a-hole for not giving frequent updates to a friend's husband when he refused to come to the hospital? Original post. Hey, one of my coworkers/friends came to me at work and said she had bad chest pain, that she needed to go to urgent care. I told her I would cover her shift. We both got off in an hour anyways. When I got off, I noticed my friend sitting on the sidewalk crying in pain. She said the pain was much worse. She said her husband didn't come, so I took her to the hospital myself. When we got there, I sent a text to her husband telling him what hospital we were at. His reply was, "Cool, update me in 20 minutes." Long story short, her gallbladder ruptured and she needed immediate surgery. I called her husband, and he said, "I don't like the smell at the hospital. It makes me sick. Just notify me every 30 minutes on how she's doing." I told him no, that it was serious and he needed to calm down. He didn't reply. A friend got out of surgery. The doctor said she has a bad infection and she will need to stay at the hospital a couple of days. I ended up calling my friend's mom. Her mom immediately asked where her husband was. I told her what he said. Later, I started getting mean messages from him, that he was really mad I didn't give him updates like he asked. My friend's mom showed up and let me know she was texting and asking my friend's husband for updates. He still doesn't know my friend's mom is with her now. I am starting to feel like I am the a-hole for not telling him that I called my friend's mom, or giving him the updates like he asked for. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You did a nice thing to support your friend. You did not, however, sign up to be her husband's secretary. He can either get to the hospital like a decent spouse would, or he can sit at home in the dark and hope his wife isn't mad. He's not a decent spouse at all. Opie's friend is better off in the hands of her mom. Hopefully, Mom and Opie will also support friend as she sorts through her thoughts on the waste of space bloke she married and dumps us behind. Opie's not a hole. Opie did the very best thing for her friend. I'm really curious what updates the husband is giving his mother-in-law, given that he doesn't even know what's going on. Opie, you're not an a-hole at all. Your friend's husband, on the other hand... My husband hates hospitals. Hates. But when I got bitten by a cat and was in for nearly a week, he was there before and after work every day. That's what you do when you love someone. Put your discomfort aside for that person when they really need you. Not the a-hole. The audacity of the husband astounds me. I don't like the smell of hospitals. Who the heck does? Your friend needs to re-examine her marriage because this a-hat obviously cares more about his discomfort than her health. I agree. She deserves someone who will be by her side. I can't even imagine a situation where my spouse gets sick and ends up in the hospital and I'm not there. I would literally not be able to function until I heard directly from the doctor's mouth that they will be okay. It was super scary. The doctor said normally when they remove a gallbladder, it's an outpatient procedure. Since it ruptured and she has a bad infection, it's really serious. That's why I called her mom. I'm okay being there for her, but making serious medical decisions? It should be her family, not me. I doubt the hospital would let you make any decisions since you're not family. Another big reason why that guy's an a-hole. The doctors may need to make some quick decisions, and if you hadn't gotten her mom there, they'd have to delay till they could talk to somebody. Not the a-hole. What a poor excuse for a husband that man is. I hope this is the wake-up call that she needs to leave him. At first, when I found her, I thought maybe he was stuck in traffic or couldn't leave work. Now I am wondering if he just didn't want to drive her? Now for the update. My friend is doing better today, and she has decided to separate from her husband. When I went to visit, I got the whole story. When my friend's sister and brother-in-law went to my friend's apartment, they found her husband there playing video games when he was supposed to be at work. Red flag. After my friend called her husband and pressed him, he told her he quit his job and didn't want her to find out. That his job was too stressful and he didn't want to work anymore. He lost his health insurance once he quit. Thankfully, we have health insurance through our company, so my friend is covered. My friend said this was the final straw. She said he does nothing to help their family. They have a 2-year-old daughter he dropped off to the babysitter early this morning, even though he was home. Grown-up daughter. Mommy, why did you and Daddy divorce all those years ago? Mommy. Well, he left me crying on the side of the road with a ruptured gallbladder. And you with a babysitter while he stayed home and played video games after he secretly quit his job. I would like to add, now sweetheart, this is why we don't marry a slug. But odds are he was a horrible dad before divorce. He's probably gonna be a crappy dad post-divorce. The kid won't have to ask her mother why, when she can see with her own eyes what a deadbeat her dad is. No questions needed when the truth is quite evident. Thanks so much for the update. I'm glad she seems to have a good support system, and really glad she's getting out now while the situation is egregious. Otherwise, waiting out those malingering unemployed men can sap the energy and spirits of anyone living with them. Jesus, I was feeling pretty horrible about being single earlier. I feel better now. Glad your friend is doing better and dumping this loser. I'm happy to help. Now for the last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for not attending my friend's wedding on the day of my family's death anniversary? Original post. 7 years ago, I, 35 female, lost my husband, daughter, and mother to a car accident. They were hit by a drunk driver that drove through a red light and killed all of them on impact. Their deaths greatly affected me, and if it weren't for my friends and years of therapy, I would be in a much lower place. I am very thankful for their support and have been able to process my grief properly. 2 years ago, I took a job offer that provided me more benefits than my current one and moved far away from city to another. I traveled back to occasionally meet up with friends, and of course to visit my family's graves on their death anniversary. It is a 7-hour car drive or around an hour by plane. Due to COVID, last year I drove to avoid contact with people and stayed at my old house. This year I plan to do the same thing, but ran into an issue with my friend having her wedding in my old city. A friend, Amy, 33 female, announced she was engaged last year to her boyfriend of 3 months. A friend group and I were quite shocked, as we never even met him nor did we know she was dating anyone, as we usually tell each other. But nonetheless, we congratulated her, and were happy for her. They were supposed to have their wedding last year but couldn't due to COVID and postponed it to this year. We are not in US, by the way, and COVID cases are now less than 10 here in my country. We are allowed gatherings of less than 15 people, and that is what Amy decided to do for her wedding. About a week ago, Amy called me privately to tell me her plans for the wedding. She told me that she's having it on the same day of my family's death anniversary and would like me to not visit their graves and just attend the wedding instead. I was quite shocked that the wedding was planned that specific day and questioned as to why she picked that day. Amy told me she just liked the number 8 and told me that I can't just gatekeep a certain day. Then I asked her why can't I go visit my family's grave, and she told me that she doesn't want my sadness and grief to take the attention at her wedding. I was incredibly stunned at what she said. I know I am quite emotional, but I know how to compose and behave myself at certain events. Here's where I think I am the a-hole. I told Amy that unfortunately I will not miss out on visiting my family's graves. I tried to ask for a compromise and told her that if my emotions were that much of a problem, I'll attend their graves after the wedding was over. But she said she wants my support for the entire day and dedicated towards her, but she'll think about my offer. It's been a week and I have not heard from her. I feel like I should just go to the wedding to keep the peace as I owe it to her, especially after all the support and love she gave me after my family's death. But it still doesn't feel right to just attend the wedding and forget about my family. Would I be an a-hole if I told her I won't be attending the wedding at all if she hasn't reached a decision? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. I am so sorry for your loss. But I have a question. Why is Amy allowed to gatekeep that day for her own, but not you? After all, her wedding anniversary will be on that date from now on. Will she try to force you to forget about your loss every year? I think it's really insensitive and selfish of her. And trying to control your emotions in addition to your actions. She doesn't only want you at her wedding. She wants to control what you do with the time you're not at her wedding. As if that would stop you from being sad. This, Amy gets 0 say in what you do with your day. Go to your family's graves and do your usual ritual. Then go to the wedding. If she asks, tell her what you do when not at her wedding is none of her business. In fact, text her that right now and withdraw your compromise. You don't need to compromise with her for Pete's sake. First off, my heart goes out to you. I can't imagine what it's been like to go through what you've been through. As to the question, she told me that she is having it on the same day of your family's death anniversary and would like me to not visit their graves and just attend the wedding instead. And that's the point at which I knew she was the a-hole. Had she unknowingly picked the same day, invited you, and only found out too late, that might have gotten close to no a-holes here. But deliberately picking the day she knows you grieve on? No. That's not the action of a friend. You aren't gatekeeping that day. She and others can do what they like. You're simply saying that you are not available that day. Not the a-hole. You weren't even close to one, and Amy's just about a double one. Not just for planning her event on that day when she knew its significance, but for pushing you too. She is available that day. She can go to the grave and the wedding, but the bride thinks that's unacceptable. That is wrong, not the a-hole. Exactly. That makes Opie not the a-hole, and her so-called friend a huge one. Seriously, who the heck thinks they have a right to tell any adult what they can and can't do when it comes to grief, or even life in general? Especially in regards to Opie saying she would just visit her family's graves and then attend a wedding, and a friend being, "Oh, that's okay. You can't do that. I'm making this date all about me now, so let's focus on that now." Not the a-hole. This woman is not your friend. At all. In your shoes, I would probably go off along the lines of, "Your wedding will never, ever, ever compete with honoring my dead family. You know, the spouse and daughter and mother I lost? On the same day?" I'm so sorry. Seriously, don't ever speak to her again. Now for the update. Hello Reddit. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who replied. I was not expecting my post to get this level of attention. I've read all of your comments and thank you once again. I am in tears and became an emotional mess after reading your thoughtful responses. Thank you for the love and support. I have always felt some sort of emotional burden to my friends, so thank you for your encouraging messages and telling me to keep my head up high. Even though we are all strangers on the internet, it sort of felt like I had gained a new family. My heart goes out to the people who have messaged me privately of their experiences with losing their loved ones to drunk driving as well. Please know I have felt your pain. You are not alone in this, and I wish you all the love in this world. Now for the update. I did what some of you suggested and called my other friends to let them know what Amy had asked of me. They were quite livid and angry for me, as they had no idea what Amy was planning for the wedding. We arranged a Zoom call with her the next day to discuss why she being so insensitive to me. Well, the call was quite the battle. It started off calm, then Amy just blew up. You guys were right when you said that Amy was jealous of the attention that I had received during the time of my family's death anniversary. Her wedding was a way to shift the attention towards her. She tried to explain to us that by having the wedding on that day, it will turn a negative situation into a positive one. When she realized she wasn't convincing enough, it felt as though a mask had fallen from her face, and she started yelling and insulting me. She said that she is tired of having to play the supportive friend role and that it's been 7 years. I should just get over it by now, or go join my family in the ground. My friends lost it and called her every name in the book. I am honestly just shocked and disappointed at a person who used to be my friend. It breaks my heart knowing I lost another person in my life, but I guess you guys are right in the sense that she never really was a friend. I now look back at our friendship and realized it was often one-sided on my part. I wish it didn't take me so long to realize it. No one in our friend group of 6 people are going to her wedding now. We have decided to go no contact with Amy and block her on all social media. My friends have offered to go visit my family's graves together with me. I accepted, and we are now planning to also make a scrapbook with my family's pictures. For once, I'm actually looking forward to this day, and will start to plan more eventful activities like this. Thank you once again to everyone for helping me through this. And please remember, do not drink and drive. I am begging you. Please don't. Please drink responsibly and drive safely, everyone. Edit, I was once again not expecting this amount of attention. I am in literal tears. Thank you everyone for your kind words and sympathy. I appreciate your love and support. I don't think I deserve the awards you all have given me. Thank you, kind strangers. Some are asking about Amy's fiancé and his thoughts. We haven't heard anything as we still haven't even met him. We tried several times to meet him last year, but something always came up. I guess we'll never know his true feelings. Imagine being jealous of the attention one gets for losing their entire family. My gosh. The sheer lack of sympathy and empathy in every way possible is astounding. It's been 7 years. I should just get over it or go join my family in the ground. If she was my friend, she'd be counting her blessings it was a video chat, because that would be enough for me to entirely lose it. Jealous of the support you got after everything you lost? Jesus Christ. Good riddance to bad rubbish there. Sorry that you had to go through this. To find how bad she was though. I am quite shocked about the whole situation. That event in itself is so traumatizing. And Opie seemed to have made a great recovery, with that ritual of visiting them regularly. And now her friend who intends to get hitched to a guy whom she knows 3 months? Jolly for them. But to tell Opie to not go to the grave so she can hoard her happiness for the entire day. What kind of person says something like that? God horror. Also, people can say what they want to say about love at first sight, but a 3-month wedding smells like a shotgun wedding, baby on the way, or insanity. That's just a divorce waiting to happen. And anyway, not worth disrespecting Opie's ritual. She said you should join your family in the ground? Wow, screw her. I audibly gasped when I read that part. She's a sick person. I'm so happy Opie is actual, supportive friends. We have read way too many stories where friends would say to just keep the peace, even in such ugly situations as this. And it's sadly so refreshing to read about actual good friends. Am I the a-hole for leaving my own wedding because my husband embarrassed me? Plus updates. Original post. I, female 27, and my husband, male 29, have been together for 3 years. In those 3 years, I have known him to be selfish. Occasionally immature, yes, but even that was rare. These problems arose when those stupid cake smashing videos got popular, and my husband thought they were hilarious. I've never thought they were funny, and he knows that. Yet, he was always showing me the videos of those poor wives getting the happiest days of their life ruined by their a-hole partner for some cheap laughs. He also knows I have a history with cake smashing. My family does the cake smashing thing. I remember it was my 17th birthday, and I pleaded with my mom to not do it. She promised, and I trusted her. I had my hair and makeup done up all nice, and right as I blew out my candles, my mom pushed my head into the cake, and one of the decorations on the cake ended up slicing my forehead. Not enough to go to the hospital, but enough for some substantial bleeding. My birthday was ruined, and after that I wouldn't come out my room. My mom still calls me a brat for that. I told him if he ever did something like that to me, I'd leave him. He started laughing, but I was being serious, though he really was not taking me seriously. Now skip to a few days ago when my wedding happened. Everything was perfect. I was happy. He was happy. I was excited for our new lives as newlyweds. I felt like a princess in my poofy white dress and done up hair with perfect makeup. All very expensive things I would like to mention. We get to the cake cutting part, and as I turn to him, he scoops up a huge chunk of our wedding cake and smashes it all over my face. Everything just seemed to go in slow motion for a few moments. He's just laughing at me, and then says, "You should see your face," and continues to laugh. Other people in the crowd, mostly my family, are also laughing at me. Then I just started walking away. He realizes that I'm leaving and tries to catch up with me and says I'm being extra. I push him away and order an Uber. As I got outside, most of the crowd is following me, telling me to come back. I get into the Uber and drive away. I drove to our apartment and packed most of my things and went to stay at a hotel. Currently, though, I'm staying at a friend's house. My this family has been blowing up my phone for days, saying I'm being childish, and my husband is a good man, and it was just a joke. My husband has been calling me nonstop, telling me to please come home, and that he wants to talk. That he's sorry and didn't think I'd get that emotional. This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, and he embarrassed me in front of everyone for some prank that he knew I hated. Not only that, he ruined a $500 cake. He ruined my makeup, my hair, and the top of my dress. The cake got all over. Though I still do love him, and I'm wondering if I really was too hard on him. That seems to be everyone else's opinion. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Guy here, I've ended relationships for less. Shout out to the mom for also being a huge a-hole. Yeah, what the heck was with that? Calling her a brat? I'd be mad too. It wasn't a time or place for him to try and get laughs. Seriously, grow the heck up. I thought cake smash was meant for a 1-year-old on their birthday, which I think is also stupid. Just eat the cake like a normal person. I'm not talking about smashing a 1-year-old in the face with a cake. I'm saying the cake smash that a 1-year-old does themselves, in my opinion, is also stupid. Why give a kid an entire cake just for them to throw it everywhere? Not the a-hole. This is a glimpse into the rest of your marriage. He completely disregarded what you specifically told him not to do. Annulment. Go and don't look back. He should have known better. He should have considered your feelings, especially on your wedding day. What an a-hole. I would never do something like that to my wife, especially something tied to the past that could be a trigger for her. He basically re-traumatized you on your wedding day. Screw that guy. You deserve better. What a crappy thing to do. It happened to me at a birthday party. Not my birthday or cake, but somehow I was the one that copped it in the face. Not only did it hurt, but I was so shocked that I started to cry and then left. Yes, it hurts. People think it's just a little mushy cake. Like, no, it hurts, especially if there are decorations. And some people don't even think about the skewers that hold up cakes that are multiple tiers or just really large cakes. Knew someone who once got a skewer to the eye from having their face smashed into their own birthday cake. Of course, that ended a party and sent birthday kiddo to the ER. Update. I decided to speak to him bright and early this morning. I'm leaving him. Some of you might be happy about that and some of you might not be. But I still decided to call him and get his reasoning for why he did what he did. He told me he just thought it was a funny prank and that if it was at the wedding on a happy day that he could change my mind. Plus, since it was a tradition in my family that I wasn't following, he thought that he could get points with my family. Then he told me he's sorry that I took it as a disrespect. I told him he shouldn't be saying that he's sorry that I took it that way. He should be apologizing for hurting me. Where is the I'm sorry? I told him he hasn't apologized with accountability once, and all his apologies have been backhanded. I also reminded him that I didn't have a good relationship with most of my family, nor my mother, who he forced me to invite. I told him he knew I was already the black sheep of my family, and the verbal abuse and public humiliation I received by my mother for years really messed with me, and he knew that. Then he says this, why should I have to apologize because he can't take a joke? I blew up. I told him, are you serious? If it was me who hurt you to this degree, the first thing I do is apologize. While you can't even force yourself to be decent for a few seconds and just apologize to me. I also told him that he was trying to get in good with a family who mistreated me by public, humiliated me, and that is something that is unforgivable. Marriage means you stick by me, yet you showed you obviously did not. It's not about you ruining my dress or my hair, or even the cake. It's about how you knew how I felt about this and the trauma I had connected, and you didn't care. He then tried doubling down and saying it wasn't his fault for not apologizing, because my family was telling him how dramatic I was, and how I was hurting them by leaving the wedding for a joke. Then he said he loves me, and he doesn't want to break up over this nonsense, and that I should just come home. I told him I wasn't coming home and it wasn't even about the cake anymore. It's because I cannot be with a man who won't apologize when he's wrong, and who gaslights their significant other into receiving the blame. He started cursing me out at this point, but after about a minute of hearing him scream at me, I hung up. I guess he started telling my family, because within half an hour my phone was blowing up again. The worst ones had to be from my mother and his sister. My mother was telling me I am going to end up alone because I can't take jokes, and I'll never be able to keep a man with my attitude. Even saying that my clock is running out fast, and when it did, no one will want me and I'll be alone. His sister was telling me that I'm a disgusting B-word for hurting his brother and wasting his time. That she wishes that he would have broken up with me 2 years ago when he first wanted to. So now I know that he wanted to break up with me. What I also know is that he was cheating on me for 6 months with his ex who wanted him back, but then she dropped him because he stayed with me. The thing is, I had a good relationship with his sister, and she knew he was cheating on me? I guess she put everything out on the table since I was leaving anyway. I blocked most of my family, and I blocked all of his family. I also blocked him and I'm getting an annulment. My friend said I could stay with her for a few months till I get back on my feet, and I told her I really appreciate it. So yeah, that's the end. I'm crying while typing this. I wasted 3 years on a man who never really cared about me. I've lost what little relationship I had with my family, and now I only have the few friends I have been blessed with. I'm going to have to pick up the rest of my stuff. I also told him before I blocked him, if he broke anything of mine, I would bring it to court. Thank you for all the kind words and encouragement. I'm gonna go sleep now since I haven't done so in 24 hours. The good news is she can have it annulled. To be honest, I would have asked the officiant not to send in the certificate. Most states require us to send them in within 48 hours or something like that. I do it immediately, like next day. So it's likely that wasn't an option. Please stop with the face cake BS. So freaking dumb. In what universe is that actually funny? I have never laughed at it, and it only ever makes me groan. So stop it. It was lame 100 years ago, and it's lame now. As a fat guy, I feel offended that they'd waste cake. The most tasty and delicious of all things tasty and delicious. What the heck is wrong with people? The wedding cake in particular, somebody paid a lot of money for that cake only to have it ruined. As a guest, I'd be mad.
Sometimes the cake is the best part of the reception. Second update. So my last post got taken down and I've gotten a lot of messages. I just wanted to update you all about a few things. I haven't gotten my stuff from my ex yet. I just haven't had the energy to because I'm still extremely upset, obviously. From the videos online, to the comments I received on my original post, to also the comments I looked at on repost of my post. It kind of made me think that there probably was a lot of red flags, and I was just used to being mistreated, so the bare minimum was enough for me. After speaking about it with my friend, she said that he definitely had a lot of red flags, and she even told me I should stay away from dating until I get some help, because I was obviously not seeing the red flags right in front of me. I'm not going to go into it, but sometimes I'd have to cook second dinners for my ex because he didn't like everything I made. His mom apparently didn't get him used to vegetables, so he won't eat them. Or making fun of my cramps on my period. That's some of what I was referring to when I said immature. Someone texted me saying if I was sure that he cheated on me. No, I am not sure. At the moment, it just felt like it made sense because of how horrible he was being. Though they made a good point. The sister very much well could have just been trying to kick me when I was down, since I was leaving anyway. I have no evidence, and I probably will never have evidence. I unblocked him to just tell him I was going to come over in a few days to get my stuff. And if he could just not be there and that I'd leave my keys. He said fine, and that was it. So he will not be there when I get the rest of my belongings. I will also bring a friend with me in case he does do something. I'm still not speaking to my family, and I think I'm just going to go no contact like people suggested. I saw a video from a woman speaking about me, and someone in the comments said I was groomed into this treatment, which is why he felt it was okay to do this. Maybe she's right. When I get my financials in order, I think I'll try therapy and wait a few years before attempting to date anyone. I also kept getting this question, how did the Uber come so quick? The wedding venue was in a city, in a building. Uber took 30 seconds to order and 3 minutes to get there. Plus, who was really going to stop me from getting into the car? My husband gave up, to be honest, pretty fast, once he saw me trying to get into the car. I thought it was weird, but I realize now, playing victim because he didn't get his way. Some of you may be saying, how did you not realize you were being abused? I don't know. Sometimes it just happens that way. My brain is kind of dead at this point. Again, thank you to literally everyone for all the sweet comments, and even people messaging me privately. I haven't responded to them all, but I will try since you took time out of your day to see if I was okay. I really appreciate that. I'm okay though I feel lonely and depressed, but I have my friends supporting me so I'm not that alone. I'll be okay and will get myself out of this hole. I realize this post is a bit too doom and gloom. This is such a sad story. Poor girl is so traumatized. She thought this horrible guy was worth marrying. The cake was inadvertently a gift, given it got her away from this abusive monster. Right? I feel like every relationship should have a don't press this shiny red button if you're not an a-hole moment before marriage. Which, from how the OP described things, this kind of seemed like. The stuff from her mom is so illuminating. No wonder she didn't see the red flags on this guy. She's been living with red flags her whole life. Exactly that. If that's all you've ever known, you think it's normal. I had to sit down when she said she probably accepted the bare minimum from her ex because of how she was raised. That hit so close to home. OP honestly deserves better. The husband is a really terrible person for treating OP the way he does. I understand cake smashing is fun for some, but I never really understood the popularity why cake smashing is a thing. I always found it to be kind of nonsense and a waste of good cake. Last story. Am I the a-hole for marrying before my older sister and ruining her life? I, female 24, has been in a relationship with my boyfriend, male 24, for 3 years now. We want to move in, but our Orthodox parents refuse to allow us unless we get married. Since we had anyways planned to get married sometime in the future, we decided to indulge them and get married now itself. The wedding was an intimate affair with only close family. Reception was huge, but it was also a disaster. The reason is that I married before my older sister. I have an older sister, Anu, female 29. Our family was seeking alliances for her for almost 3 years now, but none matched up. And she's fine with this. But younger sister marrying before older one is almost unheard of here. The circumstances regarding my marriage was why my family didn't mind it. But at reception, all everyone talked about was how my sister was an old maid and who will marry her now. All because I couldn't wait for her to get married. Now even my closest family is blaming me for being selfish and getting married before my sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's not your fault your sister isn't married yet. Who will marry her now? Lol. Personally, I don't think people should be married before 30. You have no idea what you want in life until your late 20s. Big agree. I'm glad I didn't marry before 30 because only recently after turning 30 I figured out what I want in my life. What kind of partner, what kind of life, career, etc. It's a big decision. And yeah, not the a-hole. Has nothing to do with your sister and you. Those people need to wipe their nose off the brown stuff they got from sticking it in other people's butt. Not the a-hole. Your family are the a-holes here. You are an adult. Why should your family dictate who you can or can't live with? Who cares what they say? Family seeking alliances to get your older sister married? Man, there is so much to unpack here. Does your sister want to get married? Your family needs to buzz off and leave you and your sister to your own lives. We live in a country where all your questions are accepted as facts. Living together without marriage was actually illegal until a decade ago. It is still not custom here. And we care because these are still our families and community we live in. We have to survive here for the next 50 years. Arranged marriage is very common here. Love marriage frowned upon. And yeah, my sister wants to get married. Her situation is kind of funny. She doesn't want to marry a friend, but she has to like the vibe of the person. But if she likes the vibe, she makes them her friend, or automatic rejection. It's like a circle. And she is happy where she is at. No, neither my parents nor me are forcing her. Personally, I wish she would stay single. She is having a blast in her single life, and I would be sad to see her tie down. Unless she finds her person, that is.
I received a request for child support from a woman I've never met. I'm a cis woman and have never had children. Plus updates. Original post. A few days ago, I received a notice from an attorney that I'm being sued for child support from a woman I have never met nor heard of. Context: I am a biological woman. I am straight. I have 0 children. I've never done surrogacy, egg donation, or even given birth or come close to it. I contacted the attorney listed on a document, a fairly well-known attorney around where I live, to make sure it was legit. And yep, it's legit. He stated that his client came to him to sue me for backdated and future child support for a 15-year-old and stated that I am the biological father. The attorney had my name, address, and info like my birthday, where I went to high school, etc. Yet somehow didn't know that I am a woman? The attorney also stated that the woman is in her 40s, repeated her name to me, and verified with me if I know her. I stated I've never met or heard of her. I'm a biological woman who has never had a child, and even brought up that if I was a man and was the bio dad, how would she not be in trouble for statutory rape, as I would have been barely 15 when the child was conceived, and she would have been mid to late 20s. The attorney stated that as an attorney, he needs to follow through, and I need to see him and sign the documents and do a DNA test to confirm any relation to the child. I informed the attorney that it's literally impossible for me to be the father, but he won't take no for an answer and told me to bring my lawyer to his office tomorrow. Do I actually need to get an attorney? Can I just show up and be like, look at me, very much a woman and have never given birth. Leave me alone. I need some proper guidance on where to go from here. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Do not meet with this a-hole. Let them serve you a court summons if they want, and show up in your Sunday's best. And bring your birth certificate with you. Do not go to his office. Let him sue you and show up to court with birth certificate in hand. Definitely no DNA test. This whole thing sounds weird. What about a bar complaint for mispresenting facts to the court? Correct, or failing his duty to properly investigate a claim prior to bringing an action. Now for the update. First, to answer some questions I received via PM and saw posted. No, I do not have a masculine/gender-neutral name. I actually have a very long feminine first and middle name. Both are also spelled very uniquely. Yes, I have brothers. No, none of them have passed, so I wasn't being sued in their place. They're all alive and well, and even easier to get in touch with than I am, as I'm not even in social media, and they are all very active in social media and have public pages, LinkedIn profiles, etc. Much easier to find randomly through a Google search. Yes, I also have a father. No, he wasn't the one I was being sued for child support on behalf of. In the beginning, this woman stated that I didn't even have any family, by the way. She told the attorneys I can give him the family he's never had since he's been alone his whole life, referring to me as he. Even if one of my brothers was the father and I did a DNA test, which I didn't, there would still be no way to prove I'm biologically related to this child, as I'm adopted. The only relation to my siblings is literally because my parents signed a piece of paper and drove to pick me up from state custody. Also, if she were trying to set up the DNA test to prove a familial link to the kid without a father present, if she knew anything worth her time about my family, she would have gone to my sister, who is biologically related to the rest of my adoptive family, adopted from another family member. No, I thankfully have not been a victim of identity theft. This was not someone posing as me. And thankfully there was no shady stuff in trying to change the paperwork from bio dad to mom. Even in the documents this woman's lawyer presented to my attorney, and the documents I was sent, it clearly stated that I was supposedly the biological father. Now as to what happened. I went to the attorney's office with my attorney as he requested during our call yesterday. And guess what? The suit was dismissed. It happened very quickly, thank God. I thought we would meet with the judge, because that's how I assumed it worked. But we went to the lawyer's office and met with him and the woman who filed the suit. I got an attorney as I reached out to a friend who lives in my state, as a lot of his families are attorneys, one of the families where it's in their blood basically. Turns out, his aunt handles family cases. He got me in touch with her and we spoke. After I told her the situation, she laughed and said she'd do it pro bono just for the entertainment. Apparently, she knows the other attorney and says he's a prick. So I guess that's a benefit for me since she was more than happy to represent me. We met with the attorney, showed my birth certificate, ID, passport, adoption papers, and my initial BC prior to adoption for good measure. The attorney was frustrated with his client obviously, but very kind with myself and my attorney about it. He apologized for the inconvenience. The whole thing was dismissed, and while my attorney initially suggested an order of protection, because clearly this woman was unwell, as while we were in the office she was saying that I was a man who had a sex change to dodge support, which is why she referred to me as he and said I make more than enough money, and my money belongs to her and our child, etc., etc., we ultimately decided against a restraining order. As after all of the insanity, she was honest about how this came about. She, myself, and my male cousin used to work in the same place, over a decade ago. I worked a different shift in a different part of the building. She was a secretary, and he was a typical office worker. He is the father of her child, as apparently they had known each other for years prior. But he is also now a convicted violent felon, currently incarcerated and not on a birth certificate. They are the same age, and they went to school together in the next town over. Since she had access to my information, as the office still has prior employee records, and knows I'm his cousin as he told her I was his cousin and I worked there, even though I never crossed paths with either of them there. Didn't even know she worked there. Knew he did, but never saw him due to different shifts/areas. She said she confirmed the connection via Facebook, because he has our family listed, and with that, she was able to link my cousin to his father, which led to my mother as he has her listed as a sister. She's his sister-in-law. My mother was always my emergency contact, so she has access to the information. She said since she was able to get my contact information in the easiest way, she figured she could throw a suit at me, get a DNA test, then lead back to him and she would try to go over him and sue my uncle for support, as he retired from a good job and has disposable income, and my cousin is incarcerated. No, I don't understand her thought process, because honestly, I have no idea how any of this works, or if that is even a thing she could possibly do. Also, she said she was recently fired, which is why this came up now. And since she knew my cousin was incarcerated and she needed money, she found me via our last name and made a copy of my resume and important info in my life. After all the theatrics and chaos, etc., she said she finally decided to give up the fight because she realized she couldn't win. Especially once I presented my paperwork and mentioned that some of it was my initial adoption/birth records before the adoption. That's when she realized there was zero chance that the DNA test would get her where she wanted with everything. Sorry if this isn't the super exciting update you were looking for, but I'm just glad it's over. At the end of it, I just hope she gets help, but I'm staying far away and warning my family about her. I hope you all have a great day. Wow, what a psycho. I get that she is desperate, but she should have texted your cousin's dad and told him about the situation and then went from there. But you should at least let your uncle know that he has a grandson out there that he did not know about, so he can decide what he wants to do about that situation. I definitely am going to inform him and more members of my family just in case. However, according to her, she has no way of contacting anyone else in my family. She only got my info from taking it from an old employee file from a decade ago. That may be possible, but if she found out where you live, she could have at least sent you a certified letter explaining the situation, and I'm sure you would have gotten your uncle in touch with her, lol. That's what I figured too. Without sounding mean, she seems very unwell. She genuinely thought this was the best method to handle the situation. Unfortunately, in the end, she screwed herself over. The suit has been dismissed, and now she'll most likely be reported to the former employer for stealing private records. Plus, my uncle has no responsibility for this kid. He doesn't even have a relationship with his son nowadays, since he's incarcerated for life. Her best option at this point is to pursue paternity with a violent convicted felon that isn't even allowed around children. I feel for her, but I hope she gets any help she needs and things get better for her and the kid. I hope she gets the help that she needs as well. I know this child is in no way, shape, or form your uncle's responsibility, but you took away the option of her son potentially having family and his life by doing what she did. From what I've found out today, she has plenty of family and was with someone up until right before she lost her job recently. The other dude has helped her raise the kid and still plans to be in the kid's life, but as he has no legal responsibilities, she got desperate and decided this was the best method. It's just kind of a mess of a situation, and it comes down to her needing help that even finances can't provide. There's also the issue of legal repercussions, since she openly admitted to stealing private documents and providing her attorney with them with false pretenses. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not congratulating family on a pregnancy that is a terrible idea? My 30 female close family member, 34 male, is expecting their third child with her wife, 34 female. They have 2 children, both under 5, who they frankly have done terrible job raising. Wife is a stay-at-home mom and smokes weed all day while her kids are plopped in front of the TV. The kids aren't in preschool, potty trained, verbally up to par, etc. They've had CPS called on them more than once. They don't have a strong marriage. There has been infidelity in both parties. Recently, about 3-ish months ago, there was a blowout regarding her having an affair. She claimed she was feeling suicidal. I had to take the kids. It was just a mess. They also financially aren't doing great, regularly asking their parents for money. Wild, considering they always have funds for weed and going out. They're basically a hot mess. My family member just told me they were expecting again. I very plainly asked, "How are you feeling about that?" And this was not well received. He said, "You're not happy for us. There's going to be another baby in the family." And again, I very plainly ask, "Do you think you're doing a good job with the children you have?" And that last bit really set him off. He said a lot of unkind things, and we're currently not on speaking terms. They aren't good parents. They aren't providing their kids with a happy, safe family. They cannot afford another child. The math of this affair, or mathing to this child, could be fathered from the affair. Not every pregnancy is a good one. They should not be celebrated. Their family, and obviously the baby, is innocent in this, but am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He got mad because he knows you're right. If you speak with him again, make sure to remind him that this kid has a chance of not being his. These kids surely would be better off without their parents. Otherwise, they're being set up for a difficult life where they think all of these behaviors are normal, which could result in a vicious cycle in your family. It is actually a good time to remind your family member that there is still time to get his act together. Not the a-hole. They need several hard doses of reality. And to be honest, you were pretty kind about delivering one as gently as you did, considering you've had to step in. If they're as behind as it sounds like, those existing kids are probably destined for foster care within a year or 2. And I think they know they're running on borrowed time there. Not even. I discharged a 7-week-old with an old brain bleed, home to the parents that did it just a couple of weeks ago. CPS cleared them. Their line was inconsistent with the nature of the injuries. For the social worker who witnessed the interview, the CPS worker said, "If you say she fell from a high chair, she can go home with you." So they did. But she's 7 weeks old. She doesn't have the head or trunk control to sit in a high chair. I'd never seen a neurosurgeon cry before that day. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-husband's mother he was lying about our divorce? Me, 38 female, and my ex, 37 male, got divorced about 3 years ago. We have 2 children, 9 male and 4 male, who we shared custody of. The divorce was caused by 2 things. Me finding him in our bed with another woman, and the fact that his reaction upon me kicking her out and getting upset with him was to pick up our nightstand lamp and try to hit me over the head with it. During the divorce, there was a stalking problem I'm not going to get into, and we ended up getting court-mandated counseling when it started clearly affecting our sons. Counseling ended up helping, and after the mandated period was over, he decided to find a therapist closer to his home and set up regular sessions. We spent holidays together, so our sons can have their entire family around. So with Thanksgiving coming up, we all get together and decide to host at my house. While our kids are out getting some quality grandparent time with my parents, me, my brother, ex, and mother-in-law are sitting around and chatting to relax a bit. And a conversation turns from the holiday season to our sons and to our divorce. My mother-in-law mentions that it's nice seeing us still being civil, instead of at each other's throats. And ex mentions that talking about it helped. I initially think he's talking about therapy, as I'm sure anyone would, but then he starts talking about it further. According to him, we just didn't mesh well together as spouses, and we both grew miserable in the relationship. When he saw it was upsetting our sons, he took it upon himself to start the discussion. After a very long and difficult conversation, we both decided divorce is the best option. He then tells his mother that he was lucky our talk had been peaceful, instead of a mess like online stories. I admittedly wasn't thinking. It mentioned how I wouldn't say cheating on me and then trying to knock me out was peaceful, but that I was glad he had such an optimistic view of it. His mother lost it on him, while me and brother just dipped for a bit. And afterwards, ex pulled me aside to tell me that it wasn't right for me to tell his mom about what happened and air his dirty laundry. That he had apologized and changed, and was still actively trying to get better, and that it hurt to know I was still upset with him over a mistake that happened years ago. My brother said that he understood where I was coming from and agrees with me, but that it was a bit of a prick move to tell his mom during a holiday, instead of simply putting him aside and talking to him about it, especially since we'd all be under the same roof for a few days. No one told my parents or the kids what happened when they finally got back, but I'm not naive enough to believe they haven't noticed that something had happened. Not the a-hole. Not a freaking chance in this world that you should have to feel a little bit of sympathy for that. He didn't just give 2 cents about marriage while betting someone in your bed, your home, and had the audacity to have a reaction and physically abused you. He assaulted you in your home. Not sure what kind of a father he is, but his family should be aware about his deeds and why this marriage is not working out anymore. It's not about dirty laundry. He made those choices consciously. My husband has never raised his voice at me once, even when I'm wrong. Good relationships are possible. Don't let this stupid, crappy world have you feel otherwise. He just wants to have a perfect picture in his family and friends' eyes, like some men would like to have, because hiding your nonsense becomes easier that way. Again, not the a-hole. Please don't feel bad. Not only did he lie by omission to being a cheater and abuser, he had the audacity to pretend he was the one who recognized the problem and took positive, proactive steps to end the marriage on good terms. What a giant a-hole. OP, your brother is wrong. You were completely right to let his mother know exactly what he's capable of. I'm so mad on your behalf. At least mother-in-law was also mad and didn't try to defend her precious baby like so many do. Much like an addict, he still has some work to do and hasn't taken full responsibility for his actions. He actively lied right in front of your face to make himself look better. He had 1,000 choices of how to admit fault, and he chose to blatantly lie. He 100% deserved to be called out on his behavior. And I don't think therapy is actually helping if he's lying about where the blame belongs.